We're going to join it in the first frame. It's Higgins at the table. He is leading by 33 points to 12. And our commentary team today, those who were quickest to put their hand up to volunteer for this match were Clive Everton and John Virgil.
Get many better opportunities than this. Red's nicely spread. Okay, there's a couple of reds near the cushions, but nothing you couldn't overcome. You wouldn't have to disturb anything. They're all there for the taking.
Eight. 9. 16. 17.
And taking into account what you were saying about this is a new day for John Higgins, of course, both players will have in the memory banks what a tremendous battle they had in the semi-final of this Embassy World Championship last year, when John Higgins
24.
eventually overcome Matthew. But it was some of the best matching I've seen for a long, long time, and certainly, in my opinion, the match of the tournament. So there'll be a lot of respect for one another out there.
Yes, Higgins just got home, 17-15.
$32. 33.
Just not quite perfect position, just when he needs it to be. He's a good shot off this yellow now. Oh, well, he had the angle to come down the left-hand side of the table and played that absolutely perfect. But now he's cleared the... Oh, this is the last red in the middle of the table as he eyes up the scoreboard. And now he needs, off each red, good angle on the colour, because he needs all the three remaining reds. Okay, maybe the last one without a colour, but he needs the three reds to clinch the frame at this visit.
36.
That's pretty good. Nice angle on the black.
$43.
This is just where he wanted to be as well.
44.
And it looks as though he's perfect on the black now, just to roll it through and drop behind the one red he needs to clinch the frame. And all he needs is the red, so no need for any heroics.
51.
Positional wise.
$52.
Higgins misjudged a safety. And Stevens, from that, has done the business.
59. 61. 64. 68.
Well, the first frame of this 25 frame match, but boy does he look to be hitting the ball well, Matthew Stevens. I mean, he did in his last match. I mean, obviously all the talk was about Jimmy White's
73.
demise, really, but it took the shine, really, off Matthew playing excellent snooker, and he's carrying it through to here. And with John
79.
Higgins in the form he's in, what a match this could be.
The first frame of a possible 25 has been taken by Matthew Stevens with a clearance of 86.
And further breaks of 50 and 61 were enough for Stevens to quickly establish a 3-0 lead, not what we or indeed John Higgins were expecting. So it's a test of composure already for the Scotsman in the fourth frame. But it's Stevens at the table, trailing by 11.
Oh, that's a poor safety shot from Matthew, and he's been lucky there. He could have left something a lot easier than this.
Red below the black does go. But it's not a certainty.
Well, that was a terrific pot. I thought Matthew Stevens had been a bit fortunate to get away with it. But that was an excellent shot from John Higgins. But these reds are not ideally situated. He needs a good shot to finish up nicely on a red here.
Six.
It's okay. You wouldn't expect him to miss this, and he can control the cue ball.
Seven.
Well, he's not having much luck at the moment. If he doesn't come hampered, I'd have said it'd been a formality. Just keeps finding awkward positions. But he's recovered the situation well. I'll tell you another thing for young people to note as well. When things do go slightly awkward for John Higgins, you don't see him making a fuss about it. You see a lot of players, when things don't just quite run the way, they shake their head and they nod and say, why has this happened to me? You know, and it will
18.
even itself out. And you never see John Higgins complain. Whatever this 12-foot,
19.
this 6-foot table holds for him, he'll take on the chin. And that's a good example to anybody.
.30 points in front. Doesn't have the ideal angle on the blue to get on his next red. There's quite a small margin of error. Very nice.
24.
Yes, he's looking at the scoreboard. Red, black, one more red. And he'll Have his
25.
first frame on the board. Well, this black, I mean, I know you wouldn't expect him to miss it, but 3-0 down, there's a little bit of pressure on this. But he played it well. So he's 43 points in front now, with 43 remaining. So pot the red, 44
32.
ahead, with only 35 left.
$33.
Yes, I felt Stevens took some pressure off him early in this frame. He failed to roll a black to the left corner, which, although it wasn't offering great position, was keeping him in control of the frame. And
40.
then he came to the table a minute or so later with a red over the pocket and scored only one.
John
Higgins got
40
right
on the
back
frame.
into it, clinched that frame with a break of 40, and so Stevens leads only by 3 frames to 1 at the mid-session interval.
Yes, one of the first mildly scrappy frames that John Higgins has been involved in his matches so far at the Crucible this year, but he's taken it 3-1 down. But he's in a bit of trouble again after the mid-session interval as we join it in the 5th. He's got a lot of work to do, trailing by 53 points.
1.
Potted the red, just a little bit low on the black.
Eight. Nine.
This is an interesting juncture. Is the red that Stevens missed a middle going to cost him the frame? And thus, the difference between a 4-1 lead and only 3-2.
14. 15.
Yes, he'll be kicking himself. He's just a couple of pots away from clinching this frame. I think there'll be a few twists and turns in this match, though, to be fair. But it's all about punishing your opponent for
20.
his mistakes, and John Higgins has a great opportunity to do that here.
21.
It's not straightforward.
$28. 29. 34. 35.
Bit low on the black. It just makes the next shot a little bit more difficult. He may be playing for the red near the baulk cushion here. Played it well.
$42. 43.
But didn't have enough right-hand side on the screw back to get the cue ball across the baulk line for choice of low-value colours.
John Higgins, 43.
Right back into the frame, but not the decisive counter-attack which was on the cards.
Well, I'm not certain how much he's got to play with here, Matthew. It's really, though, in these situations, hit and hope, really. Got to hit the red and hope he gets it safe. Now, well, I don't know. The audience are applauding, but can he get past the black? Well, he can't. He's turned out to be a very good shot now. It's not going to be easy for John Higgins to get this safe.
He could only do so negatively, but he certainly couldn't leave the red there. That was the best he could do. Could only play defensively there.
Yes. Well, that was because he had the last visit to the table. He just had to play a containing safety. This red below the yellow will pot into the right corner. I don't know if it's worth the risk. I can't see anything better to offer. The alternative would be a safety, but he could play safe off this red and still go for the pot. Well, decided to not even think about the pot. And he's got a very good length with the cue ball. I wasn't certain at the time the red he refused to play the pot on was going to be safe, but such a good length now. Pressure on John Higgins. Now, where's this red going? Is it going in? Well, what a fluke that could turn out to be.
Had it not dropped in, it would have offered Stevens a chance to clinch the frame. But no, here's a chance for Higgins to take it.
6.
Yes, it's a cruel game sometimes, isn't it? And the thing is, there's a pick, the awkward pink won't be required. After the brown, yellow to blue would be sufficient.
$11. 13.
So, a fluke that looks as though it's won John Higgins the frame. But there'll be, as I said early on in this frame, there'll be a few
16.
twists and turns. There'll be times when the luck will go the other way. When the luck goes your way, you've just got to take advantage of it. I remember, Clive, bit like Willie Thorne. I used to think I never had any luck
20.
at this game. But when we sit in this commentary box, it's amazing how you see the luck even out over a match.
$25.
Well, that is the tendency. I don't know that it ends up exactly equal, but it certainly had a big influence on this frame.
John Higgins, 25.
But for fluking the penultimate red, I'm pretty sure Higgins would have been 4-1 down, but now it looks like only 3-2.
It was indeed. It might have been a fluke, but John will take it. And that means that the deficit's been reduced to just the one frame. So has he put the brakes on Stevens? Let's find out. It's the Welshman at the table about to take his first shot on frame 6.
Was bound to be cannoning other balls, but he won't be too unhappy with that.
Six. Seven. $12. $13. $20. $21. $28. $29.
He was dead straight on the blue, so this is the best that he could do
34.
as regards position on his next red.
$35.
perfect now.
42.
He's got a red to the far right corner, to the right centre. But it's not a shot for nothing. There's a bit of pressure on it. He's got to be careful he doesn't leave the red near the far right corner. But knowing John, he'll just fully commit. If he pots this, it'd be a frame winner. And never touch the side. All set fair now to win this frame.
$50. 51.
Higgins made a sluggish start. Only made 2 or 3 mistakes, but that was enough to help him go 3-0 behind. The other element being how well his opponent played. That positional shot
58.
didn't work out quite as he intended, although he always had the savour of the red over the baulk pocket.
He's on this
62.
red, but a little bit close to the cushion for comfort. He's looking for one more red and a reasonable size colour. In goes the red.
63.
But, well, I can't see the colour. So Matthew Stevens, I would suggest he's going to come back to the table, whether it be snookered or not. But he can still win this frame. Will he get a chance?
John Higgins, 63.
Higgins puts the green under the side cushion, but to do that he had to sacrifice the snooker, which gives Stevens a glimmer of a chance at the long red to right corner. Not easy, and still not over. Higgins needs to pop one more ball.
Excellent pot.
1.
That puts him 64 points in front, only 59 left.
Ramble.
And 3-0 behind. Looks like it's going to level.
Dead right, John, he did. And now, as you say, it's all square.
1.
Well, the former champion maintained the momentum to win his 4th frame on the trot to lead Matthew Stevens for the first time in this quarter-final. It's a match we were hoping would prove to be enthralling, and indeed it is, as we head into the last frame of this morning's session.
Final frame of this session. John Higgins to break.
When Higgins was 3-0 down, he probably didn't imagine that he'd be going for a 5-3 lead in the last frame before lunch. And this, a match which continues this evening and plays to a conclusion tomorrow morning.
Excellent pot, needs to stop.
1.
Oh, he's looking at the brown as he's straight into this left corner pocket. The strange thing is, he went 3-0 in front, Matthew, and the last 4 frames, to be fair, could have gone either way, couldn't they, really? I wouldn't say that John Higgins has dominated them.
Certainly not to the extent that Stevens dominated the first 3, but he didn't do as much with a couple of opportunities early in the 4th as he might have done.
Well, if he's on the red to the right of the black, that's one of the best shots we've seen so far this morning. And
5.
that's absolutely perfect. Good shot.
Six.
Stevens is a pretty good opener of the bunch
13.
while retaining position on a red already loose.
14.
He's got all the shots around the pink and black spots.
Well, it's not bad. He played to just run past that red
21.
he kissed into, and the reason he didn't, he needed a little bit of side on the cue ball, and believe me, when you're playing with little traces of side around the black area, that's how you can miss balls, and that's sometimes why kicks or thick contacts are caused. That side on the cue ball imparts a little bit of side on the object ball.
Twenty-two.
So if you're a good plain ball striker, don't use side unless it's absolutely necessary.
29.
Then you'll be a lot more consistent, particularly on these super fine cloths that they play on nowadays.
30.
He's gone down for the blue in the hope that he can leave an angle. Well, maybe to cannon the cluster. There's one red just separated from the main punch, which is possible, but I don't think he can hold for it. So it's a cannon into the cluster. Now, how's he look? Looks very good. The only downside is the black is not available into the left
35.
corner, but he's nicely on a red, and that's all you could hope for to keep the break going.
$36.
Paul Collier has checked whether there's room to replace the pink
42.
and finds that there is.
$43.
Now he'd like to be straight on this pink. Be just a case then of potting it and running through for a choice of reds into the right corner. He's getting near that point now where he's looking very much like a frame winning chance. Don't think he
49.
can quite play the red just the right of the black and hold for the black. And the one he's looking at might be able to hold for the pink.
50.
Still in good shape. Now these two reds on either side of the black with blacks would be enough to clinch this frame.
56.
You'd fancy him to do it.
57.
Didn't get the cannon on the red right though.
Well, I can't believe he played it so delicately. I mean,
64.
it's a type of shot, if you play a bit firmer, at least you're knocking the red towards the pocket. He was only looking for one more red and a colour. It's not a formality now. You mentioned earlier on in this match that he didn't like using the rest, and he's doing everything he can not to. Oh, good pot. Still needs a colour. The brown would be the one. The brown would put him
65.
69 points in front with only 67 left. Or he could roll up to the green. But if he pots the brown, John Higgins will need a snooker. And he'll be aware of that.
The brown was easy enough. He wasn't leaving Higgins a chance of a counter-attack if he missed it.
69.
So it's going to be 4-all at the end of the first of their 3 sessions.
Matthew Stevens, 69.
4-all that is, barring a snooker.
This evening, it features John Higgins against Matthew Stevens. And John Higgins, when you look at his record here, well, the semi-finals is the least he's managed on the last 5 occasions. The winner in '98, last year's runner-up, playing well, 8 centuries in the tournament so far. He beat his opponent in last year's semi-finals, but Matthew Stevens, the world number 6, yet to win a major title, certainly has the snooker in him to do that eventually, and has the snooker in him to win here at the Crucible one day. That's what all the experts seem to think. This morning's frames, well, it went pretty well so far for Matthew. He won the first 3, but then John came back and won the next 4. It ended 4-all. They came back out to play this evening. We're going to pick it up with John Higgins to play, 23 behind. Ray Edmonds and Steve Davis were in the commentary box when they came back to play.
One.
That was an excellent positional shot by John Higgins. Didn't have much room to work with there. He got perfectly on the black.
Eight. Nine.
This red just to the right of the black, it's not hampering necessarily the potting angle, but it's just making things a little more awkward than they might be. And now John has nudged it away. That opens things up nicely.
16.
Black will go into both corners now.
Seventeen. 24. 25. 32.
Had first bite of the cherry, Matthew Stevens.
33.
He missed a very possible red to the middle, and this is what hurts a player when he's missed the chance and his opponent comes and then runs up a nice break, and
Yeah, sure.
he'd do well to win the frame here,
40.
but he's got himself into a commanding position. At least 3 reds nicely available.
John Higgins, 40.
Well, that was unexpected. Puzzled look on John Higgins' face. The return to the table for Matthew Stevens that I suspect he didn't think he'd get. John Higgins, throughout this World Championship, has produced 50% strike rate of frame-winning breaks, and that was a chance gone begging.
One. Eight. Nine.
Unlike John Higgins, Matthew Stevens will need that last red next to the pink, so this is not a foregone conclusion. But he seems to be cueing very fluently, so you would expect him to get the 3
16.
open reds, and then it's in the lap of the gods to some extent, and obviously the skill of Matthew
17.
Stevens.
Twenty-four. Twenty-five.
He's not hanging about, is he, Ray?
No, he's actually, Steve, I think he's looking as confident as he has done for a couple of seasons. Had just a bit of a slowdown in his opening match. Having played a brilliant first session, he just seemed to go a little bit negative, but still won fairly comfortably, and since then had a very easy win against Jimmy White. And certainly 2 or 3 years ago you would have laid long odds that he would have won quite a few more tournaments than he has done.
31.
But he's just let that one go astray. I don't think he's got the angle now to disturb the red. I think he'll just float past the pink. But this black will put him 21 points in front. And I don't think he'll play the pot here, even if the red will go. It'll be just drop the cue ball tight behind the pink
38.
and push the red into a potable position. And, well, unless there's something remarkable. Well, he's gone for the pot. He knew he was going to get the snooker, but now then, he's got to knock the blue in, and he's got to get position on the yellow. And I really fancied the snooker there, I think, Steve. But
44.
these young men, they pot so well, don't they? They're just full of confidence.
Well, he had a nice angle. Possibly if the angle wasn't as nice, he may have tried the safety shot. But sometimes you don't get a better chance.
46.
And Matthew Stevens has made the very most of the mistake from John Higgins. And a bit of a body blow for John Higgins. Matthew putting his extension on to reach the green. That's not a nice way to start a session. John Higgins looked in command there. $29 points in front, 25 on the table. Still at this level, very important to make sure of this green.
I don't think any player in the game, though, has made as much use of the extension on the cue as it seems to with Matthew. I think he hates using the rest. And
Concede it, yeah. 49 and a
yes,
frame.
John Higgins says, well, you need to screw the cue up again for this shot. I'll concede. Maybe a little unhappy at losing the opener. Matthew Stevens goes into the lead at 5 frames to 4.
And better news for Stevens fans. He goes 6-4 with a break of 85. Then he knocks in a 101 and makes it 7-4. So for the first time in the championship, John Higgins is facing a mini crisis. Here's Matthew at the table in the 12th, and John has played a poor break-off shot.
Matthew Stevens immediately pounces on that red, presented to him over the middle pocket, because John Higgins caught the break off just a fraction too thick, and he's been made to sit out for some 250 points now. Nowhere near the record, which is, although I'm not one of our anoraks of the game, I think something like 400. I think for some reason I think that number rings a bell, but it's still a significant amount of points.
8.
Certainly at a significant time in the tournament. The second session so often is a make or break session in a 3-session match. And at 4-4, John Higgins must have been quite pleased to have got out of the first session after trailing 3-0. Now he's back to 3 behind.
Yeah, just going back to that point situation, Steve, if we look at the stats here,
9.
John Higgins actually scored 485 points without reply against Anthony Hamilton a couple of years back, and also 387 points against a certain Steve Davis
16.
without you potted a ball. So the record not being attacked at the moment.
17.
I'll tell you, if he keeps on like this, it might be. He hasn't missed a ball. This is phenomenal stuff, it really is. It's very easy to keep using superlatives, but as a player, I can tell you how tough this is to keep up. The discipline required, not just the concentration. A bit like the
24.
marathon runner miles out in front, to keep out in front, not make a mistake. Sooner or later you're going to miss one. You've got to sort of push that to the back of your mind as well. But he's on a mission here at the moment.
25.
Yeah, again, it's basically what John Higgins was doing for Graham Dott in the previous round. He was scoring in exactly the same way, monopolising it, and Graham was not able to get in. Said it was a marvellous exhibition and he had to admire it, but at the moment John's having to sit there and watch his opponent absolutely monopolise things. But I think the only thing in a situation like this is to wait and be patient, because normally you will get chances, but it's keeping your mind clear waiting for that chance that's difficult.
He's taking on this long red. It's a very gettable red. He's had enough pot in practice. Wow, what a shot. Oh, and it's come out okay as well. He's got the long blue. You wouldn't expect him to miss this. Was out of position after splitting the pack up. And is a good blue away from getting prime position once again. Superb strike. Hitting the ball so well. And who would have thought, certainly not Graham Dott, that somebody could outplay John Higgins so soon after that
38.
marvellous performance in the second round.
$39. $46. $47.
It's an absolute guarantee that as long as snooker remains as popular as I'm sure it will be,
54.
the standard of snooker will continue to rise, and in 10 years' time we'll have players outplaying the likes of
55.
Matthew Stevens. But I don't know how they're going to do it, because he has played a superb session up till now.
$62.
Mesmerising stuff.
$63.
Beautiful positional shot there from Matthew Stevens, guaranteeing position on a red.
70.
This ball guarantees the
71.
frame. He's got a marvellous mid-session interval to look forward to. Whereas John Higgins, he's going to have a few alarm bells ringing in his dressing room. I wonder whether he'll go
78.
to the practice table. Not something John Higgins is used to doing with the standard he's produced in the last round, but he may well feel the need to get some cueing practice.
$79.
So a possible 1-4-5.
86.
The way he's played that shot, he'll be taking the red to the middle and trying to leave an angle on the pink, I think, to perhaps disturb those three reds.
Highest break at the moment, 1-4-1 from Stephen Hendry. So he's got a few points to play with.
87.
Don't think there's any reds potable into corner pockets. May have spotted a plant. That's a great shot. He's just on this red, I think,
94.
which means he'll be able to run through for the black should he wish.
95.
There haven't been that many 1-4-5s here at the Crucible Theatre, but he's got a fantastic chance here.
$102. 103.
I think he wants another
110.
black because he wants to set as high a target as possible, and he was anxiously looking to see if he could run through for it, and he can. And a
111.
natural angle virtually to take the cue ball down to the yellow. Judgment of pace, all important. gets this one right,
118.
you wouldn't think he'd go wrong. But there's no
120.
sign that he's even concerned about any pot at the moment. He's getting down as if they're over the pocket.
123.
We've already seen a few near 147s this week, so
127.
maybe 145 won't stand, but it's some target for somebody to aim at.
132.
A wonderful opening 4 frames, whatever happens, from Matthew Stevens.
138.
And every chance of that £20,000 prize. Absolutely marvellous. The crowd rise and, well, you can wonder why, but really it was fantastic. Don't use that word a lot. Matthew Stevens, all 4 frames, leads John Higgins 8.